Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and be real regarding this Nintendo Direct. It didn't really catch my attention. And I think a lot of it is because it's pretty much the end of the life cycle of the Nintendo Switch. And so a lot of the games that were announced are pretty much just fillers. And if we're gonna be honest, a lot of these didn't even have a release date. So that's a little bit insane given the Switch is already almost at the end of its life and we can't even get a release date. And some of these even got dates for 2026, which is a little ridiculous. So let me just recap a little bit about what was shown. Let me just talk about the games a little bit. If we're going to be honest, I'm not really familiar with a lot of them that were announced, but we're going to go ahead and just talk real quick. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD Remake. Part 3 came out back in November, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not really familiar with these games. I know they're RPGs, and I'm more of a Final Fantasy guy, but I want to give these a chance. I know there's a lot of old school elements, since obviously these are games from back in the 90s, I want to say. So yeah, this is one of the games that was announced. Let me go ahead and go to the next one, which was Snow Sleeper Kaname Date, I think it's called. This looks like one of those investigation games. To me, didn't really catch my attention either. So like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and skip this one. But you know, everybody has their opinion on everything. The next one is, man, I'm butchering these names so bad. I think it was called Raidu Remastered, Mystery of the Soulless Army. And based on the trailer they showed, it kind of reminded me of Shin Megami Tensei and Persona series, where you can capture like ghosts or creatures and things like that. So it's interesting. I do have Persona 5 in my backlog, but I haven't bothered playing it yet because there's other games that I catch my attention right now. So, but I'm willing to give those a try and see if I like them. The next game was something called Shadow Labyrinth, and it reminds me of a Metroidvania kind of game. And the little orb kind of reminds me of Pac-Man, and I think they kind of mentioned that too in the trailer. But it looks pretty cool. You eat monsters, and you absorb something that gives you the ability to power up your own weaponry. And from the looks of it, you can become a mech warrior or something. I don't know. Interesting concept. I might give this game a try when it gets released, and I believe it got a release date of July 18th. So we got a few months for that one. The next one is Patapon 1 and 2 Replay, and if I am not mistaken, that is actually a PlayStation game. Let me know in the comments if I'm right or wrong, but yeah, I'm not familiar with this one either. From the looks of it, it's just something that doesn't catch my eye either. I know you gotta do something with beats and stuff like that, so we'll see what it's like. And then the next game was Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. Based on the trailer, it is technically from the team that did Harvest Moon before, but I know they had to change the name over some reasons. But kind of gives me Animal Crossing vibes. Like I said, not really my cup of tea either, but I'm willing to give it a try if it's interesting to that matter. Now, the next game they showed was Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and this game was actually in one of my expectation videos as one game that would be shown. So I'm actually happy that they did show this one. I guess they kind of showed the gimmick of the game, which is that Samus gains, they just go ahead and set its psychic abilities. So that's pretty funny. But I think they kind of just shown that right away from the get-go, because when you look at the logo, it says Beyond, gives that little purple aura, so it kind of gave you an idea of what it was going to be. But who knows? I mean, this might be an interesting. I know there was part of the trailer where it shows you can actually control your beam, so that's pretty cool. And then at the end of the trailer, showing coming 2025, which goes ahead and tells us, like, man, this game, I don't know. I think there's a probability that it'll be delayed again, and just so it could be like in a Switch 2 enhanced game. But who knows? We're gonna go ahead and hopefully think that's not the case. And then at the end of the trailer, they showed this pretty cool red and black suit that Samus is wearing, and I'm like, damn, that's a nice color scheme. So I wonder what that armor does for her. Next game they showed was Disney's Villain Curse Cafe, and once again another game that does not catch my interest. But these games tend to be just fillers for the rest of the year, if they come out this year. After that was something called Witchbrook. I like the art style of this one. I'm not gonna lie, and if I'm not mistaken, it has like some sort of wizardy stuff to it. Wizardry, yeah, because I remember seeing in the trailer you can fly in your broom and things like that. So I'll give it a try. The next one, I think it's one that I actually thought I would like, and it's called Eternal Life of Goldman. And just on the art style alone, it's really nice. I know I think they mentioned it was handwritten art, but this one looks really cool. Looking forward to this one for sure. And then after that, Greatest Origins, very old school style game, shooting. I remember playing these back in the arcade. It really shows my age talking about arcades. After that, we had Rift of the Necrodancer. This looks like a rhythm game if I'm not mistaken. It came out with a Zelda theme one too, but not in this same aesthetic, so not really familiar with it. After that, we got Tamagotchi Plaza, which looks very, I guess you can say kitty. It's not up my tree if we're gonna be honest. Then after that, it's one of the ones that I actually forgot to put in my prediction video, and it's Pokemon Legends ZA. I gave us a little more look of Lumio City, and it actually let us know that there's some sort of tournament that's going on, and that depending on what time of day you play, either day or night, the aesthetic of the city changes, and you're going to be challenged by Pokemon trainers and stuff like that. After Pokemon, we had something called Rhythm Heaven Groove, which, if I'm not mistaken, this franchise has not had a release since the 3DS era. So I think it's another one of those rhythm games where you have to press the button at a certain time for you to proceed. So yeah. If there's a demo, I might download it and give it a try. But other than that, I don't know if I'm gonna, put any attention to this one. After that, they showed something called the virtual game card for your system. So pretty much what this does is, if you have a digital game, you'll be able to actually transfer it to another Nintendo Switch and be able to play it without an internet connection. I know that's something you're actually able to do now on your Switch, but it requires an internet connection. But supposedly with this version, you would only have to do it one time and you would be good to go. Also, they mentioned that you can actually share your games with people that are in your family subscription. So for example, I own a copy of, I don't know, let's say Splatoon 3, and I want to borrow it to my brother or something, and he doesn't have a copy. We just connect the switches together, and he's able to get a copy, and he's able to use it for, I believe they said 14 days. So that's a pretty interesting concept right there. Then we had a little highlight reel of games that I'm not very familiar, like I said. High on Life, I think this game has been out for a minute already. Star Overdrive, same, on other consoles. Wandering Village, that one looks pretty cool. You're like on top of a dinosaur or something like that. King of Meat gave me Splatoon vibes. That's a very interesting name for a game as well. Luz Lagoon, I have no idea what this is about, but it just looked like you're exploring an island or something. After that, Fantasy Life. I think this is a game that people were actually waiting for. So if they're interested in that, go for it. Saga Frontier Remastered. I know I have one friend that's actually interested in this game, so good for them. I think it's another old school RPG. I don't think I ever heard of this franchise, if we're going to be honest, so I might have to just watch videos about it. I remember Monument Valley being a very high praise game back in the day. I don't remember exactly how old it is, but apparently we're getting 1, 2, and 3 coming soon for the Switch, so that's cool. And then Everybody's Golf Hot Shots. Now this is a game, if I'm not mistaken, that is actually a PlayStation game, because I remember Kratos being in it. Very random, but golf game, like I said, to everyone's own. And then this one was actually pretty cool. Marvel Cosmic Invasion. one of those beat 'em up games, and you were able to switch between two Marvel characters. I like this old art style, honestly. It reminds me of back in the arcade days too, because I remember there was a what is a like a Ninja Turtles game like this too. There was a Power Rangers one that I remember I used to play a lot at the arcade. Those were always cool. And the last game that they decided to end the direct with was Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. Now I'm gonna be honest, like I have no interest in this game whatsoever. It was very dorky, the trailer, and yeah, but apparently a lot of people have been clamoring to get a new one for this, and from what they said too, it's been almost 10 years that there hasn't been a game in this series, so like I said, to everyone's own. After that, Miyamoto came on screen and talked about a new app that they're releasing called Nintendo Today, which pretty much gonna give us news about Nintendo stuff every day. I did check it out earlier today, and there's little stuff in there like comics, riddles, just some artwork, things like that. So that's pretty cool, and I'm sure it's gonna ramp up once the Switch 2 once the Switch 2 Direct comes out. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Nintendo Direct for today, the 27th of March. What did you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Like I said, it was a kind of a miss for me, but like I said, the Switch is already at the end of its life cycle, so a lot of these games are just filler now. So we're gonna go ahead and see a lot of that stuff. But maybe they do some surprise drops on Twitter, and like they did a few years ago with like Paper Mario and things like that. So we'll go ahead and see what else the original Switch has in store later this year. But yeah, that's it from you guys. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and like and subscribe, and thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys next week for the Switch 2 Direct that I plan to do live. Maybe you guys will be able to join me and get reactions together. So other than that, peace out. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.